Guys, what do you think about Tony Dracon? Like, mob boss, model.
I think Unibrow McGee is going to be a very interesting addition to the Gargoyles cast.
I think he has beautiful hair.
I think
Like,
he
he's
he
an
looks
anime pretty boy.
he looks like Draco Malfoy's dad if he weren't blonde.
Luscious Malfoy. I mean, Lucius Malfoy.
Really? You have the hots for Lucius Malfoy?
I don't. I
That's-
just like to
I
make
lo-
fun of his
love-
name.
It's a silly name.
Welcome.
Welcome to the Loincloth Hour, a show where two friends pretty much just talk about all the gay subtext in some of their favorite shows and cartoons, amongst other shenanigans and whatnot.
Yes, with your hosts Manicorn and Sid. And today, though, we're joined by a third host, who is what should we call you today? What is your name,
Huron.
sir? Huron is here, who's actually my boyfriend.
Yes.
And when did you first get into Gargoyles, Huron?
Okay.
What was your first experience like?
Alright, so I first got into Gargoyles in freshman year of college because of TV tropes.
Oh my god, of course.
And I was reading the article on loincloths.
What?
And watching all the shows
Seriously?
that have loincloths in them.
Oh my
Wow.
god. So you
There's
started
an-
watching Gargoyles.
There's an
you're like-
article on shows with loincloths.
On
and
TV
I'm-
tropes.
Oh yeah, there is.
I'm just now learning about this. Wow.
I used to troll articles like that too, like the Mr. Fanservice article and like the Carpet of Virility and like all those sorts of articles. Just
Yep.
for because when I was running the stash, I was always looking for more fan service to put on it.
I'm going to have to look these articles up now. I didn't know they existed. That's really interesting.
Oh my! Okay, so you started watching Gargoyles for the fan service, and then what? Like you realized it was actually like a good show on top of that.
Oh yeah, I mean like every single trope that was written was like a glowing review of the show on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, people like Gargoyles.
It's a great show.
So I already had a bit of an expectation going in, but like I think it was right around the time I hit this particular episode was when I'm like, okay, this is going to be a very good show.
Episode 8, Deadly
Yes.
Force.
Yes, yeah. It's to say the least, it's definitely one of the more serious episodes of the series.
I think it's the best one of this season. Maybe like it's definitely one of the best of the whole show in my opinion.
No,
Like, I
it's-
think it's
up
phenomenal,
there.
actually what they do with it.
I remember last episode in our podcast here. For those of you who didn't tune in, I was almost half considering like not doing like a horniest moment segment, but I don't know. I think we could probably still sneak one in.
Like it does feel sort of weird to talk about horny stuff in this episode.
Yeah.
Because like it is like very serious and very dramatic, but we are really perverted. So I do think we have a couple at least.
Yeah, no, it's like
Because as serious as things get, Goliath and Broadway still show their asses.
They
Like,
do
at
show their
least-
asses.
At least 3 or 4 times in this
like
episode.
I was watching the episode and I was like really just kind of like, oh man, this is awful, everything that's happening. It's great, but like, oh man, what's happening to the characters is awful. On the other hand,
Like they're still
we were
mostly
pointing
naked.
out like all the butt shots in the episode still. I guess that was our coping mechanism to get through the angst.
Yeah.
And it worked.
But yeah, I mean, I guess we'll just get started talking about this episode
All right.
and how it opens up. Like, I think I'm pretty much the one who took the notes this time, so I'm probably going to be doing the majority of the talking. But you know, you two can chip in whenever you feel you have something to say.
Okay.
But yeah, so we opened up on a shipyard. It's close to sunset. We see workers loading crates onto a flatbed truck, and then we see our favorite fancy boy, Owen. There, he's checking his watch. I love. This is a really good Owen episode.
Yeah,
too.
you do like your
He gets a
Owen.
lot of character. You know, I do love Owen. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't feel ashamed about this at all.
No.
But like, he's checking his watch. He's looking like, and there's some guy there. He's like, "Oh, looks like you were worried for nothing, Mr. Burnett." And Owen's all like, "I certainly hope so." In that posh voice of his.
Oh my god, I want to smack him in the face.
No, I love him so much.
He's just he's so preppy. Like, you can't be perfect all the time.
He can be perfect all the time, though. That's how he lives his life.
I can't
Perfection. He's
All right.
on schedule. He's there doing his shit, and he expects the same of everyone else.
I seem to remember the end of this episode not being quite perfect.
No,
We'll get to that
it's
later.
not through no fault of his own. Okay, Owen's
He even
fine.
takes it in stride, funnily enough.
Well, it's probably all according to plan.
Oh my god.
I don't think this. I'm pretty sure this time it was not all according to plan. We don't get one of those speeches this time.
It's always according to plan.
Oh, fuck yeah. Fuck off, Xanatos.
Okay, so suddenly we see a bunch of guys wearing gas masks show up, and they're shooting like gas canisters at the workers. There's like action music starting, there's confusion, everyone's scattering, they're coughing, they're choking. Owen brings a handkerchief to his face because he's a fancy man. He's like coughing
my
to his
God.
handkerchief. But yeah, it looks like they're after whatever this shipment is, because they pull the driver of the truck like out of the vehicle. They're getting inside it. One of the security officers tries to stop them. He raises his gun, and this guy, I looked him up. We've seen this guy before. His name is Bruno.
What?
Oh, Bruno!
He's the head of Xanatos' security. He was the leader of the commandos.
Oh my god.
who
See, I
attacked
knew we
the
saw them again.
I did not know this. I looked him up. He's in a bunch of episodes.
Oh
so
my
now I have
God.
to keep track of this character too.
See, you are the expert on the side characters in the show. I can't believe you let this one
So
slip under
wonderful
your radar.
Bruno, who last we saw him was wearing very skin tight spandex.
Yes.
This time he's just wearing like a normal security outfit. It's a downgrade for him.
I agree.
But he gets tackled by this beautiful looking gas mask wearing man who we don't know him yet, but he is Tony Dracon,
Oh, God.
who will be the bad guy of this episode. But so these guys, they're moving the truck out. They're taking this crate. While that's happening, Owen is a badass. He like just snatches a gas mask off one of these guys. He puts it on himself. But that's not enough to stop the others from getting away. They roll on out of there.
Mm-hmm.
And like as they're going, Tony Dracon, he takes his mask off just so he can go.
God.
And, like his stupid villain voice.
He's such a shit.
I would like to point out that in my notes I have just Dracon's laugh is amazing.
It's so like. I feel like Gargoyles does a really good job with their villains. Like everyone has
Yeah.
like shades of gray to them, but every so often they just need a villain who's just like cartoonishly evil. So like Tony Dracon is one of those villains. Like,
I mean, I see where you're coming from. I remember when I watched this episode, I couldn't stand him. I think the unibrow he has put me off a bit.
I mean, I don't like him very much either. But like,
I think he's not supposed to be like.
I like
I
to
think
dislike him.
the only reason I like him at all is because he's in this episode, and I like the rest of the episode a lot. But like all the other episodes he's in, I don't think I like any of them.
I forgot he was in a
Oh
lot
yeah,
of it.
he's in at least 2 others, I think.
Oh wow.
See, I'm a Dracon fan, so I
Okay,
like
well,
those other episodes.
We have one Dracon fan in the house.
Yeah. So, okay, so we're starting with our first scene, and we're seeing, okay, bring in a new kind of gun. Great. And guns should make it easier, as, you know, most pro-gun people say, make it easier to defend yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
So we got this fancy, new, super awesome gun, and then they immediately fail to defend themselves and have them stolen.
Right. Well, they're not
Yeah.
armed with the guns. They're just moving the guns.
I'm aware, but the point's still there. That
I don't know. I
Well,
mean,
that does tie into the greater theme
It
of the
does.
episode, which is that like guns actually make you less safe.
yeah, that I just wanted to point it out because that is
true.
where every scene has some impact on the greater theme of this episode. Basically.
Yeah, this episode's
With
a
a
really
couple
good job of
exceptions.
yes. Yeah.
that. So okay.
And then, if I remember correctly, we now switch over to the Gargoyles waking up once again.
Yes, that's. I think it's also unusual. This episode is this the first one that starts on like other characters
Yes.
besides
Yes.
the Gargoyles.
Yeah.
So like
Well,
that's interesting
except
too.
for the first
just that
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Technically.
Okay. Yeah, just at least it opened up on her in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's nice that they're still like taking risks. Like they're trusting that the viewer understands that like the show called the Gargoyles will have gargoyles in it at some point. Like we don't need to start with them.
Right, of course.
So I just think that's neat.
No, yeah, it's a wide open universe.
But okay, so the sun sets. We see the Gargoyles all wake up. There's some flexing, not enough for me to really comment on it.
We see some minor flexing.
I think
moments.
we see the most from Broadway because we got a close up on him.
Yeah,
he's like flexing his chest out and like doing this yawning motion.
Mm-hmm. But Broadway's not like he interrupts his own flexing just to get out of there as quickly as possible.
He's like gone. He's just like, see you later. And Goliath is like, well, where is he off to? And Lexi's like, oh yeah, he's trying to see Showdown.
But when Lexington does this, he does finger guns when he's saying
he does
Showdown.
do finger guns, which we know means that he's bisexual.
Oh.
So Goliath is like, what the fuck is Showdown? So like the Brooklyn and Lex are like, it's a new Western that just came out. Which immediately made me go like, a Western, like in the 90s. Which I didn't think they were really doing more Westerns at this point.
Okay, hold on.
Wait.
He says it's new because it's in the theaters, but later on when we go to see it, we see that it's a black and white Western.
It's black and white, yeah. So like, how new is it really? I think like anything after 994 AD is new to them.
Okay, well,
like they call Shakespeare new in a different episode.
Well, I mean, they have those old-timey theaters where you can watch classic movies, but might I iterate that we were still getting Western movies in the 90s?
We were, yeah, because I looked it up, and we're actually, every year of the 90s got about like a dozen Westerns came out, including the best Western of all time, Maverick, in 1994.
Wasn't Tombstone also a 90s movie? Or was that 80s? I could be wrong.
I don't know. I haven't seen that one.
Oh, that's really good. It's got Val Kilmer in it.
Oh, well, I bet the Gargoyles will love it when they see it.
Yes.
In theaters.
No, I mean, there's guns in it.
But yeah, so like Lexington explains what a Western is. He's like, cowboys, horses, guns.
Oh, and that's when he does the finger guns.
Yeah, and then Hudson comments that like, yes, with all the modern movies and video games, it's hard to tell what's real and what isn't.
This is the only scene in the entire episode where Hudson, Broadway, and Lex do anything.
Yeah,
I mean they're in other scenes,
Hudson,
but they don't do anything in those scenes either. Like they're present.
Well, I mean it's a Broadway-centered episode. I mean, like they got their time to shine a couple episodes ago. Hudson still has his episode coming up.
Right.
Yeah.
But okay, so the view switches. We go from Actually, I thought this was interesting. We see the castle tower like transition into the clock tower, which I'm sure isn't significant or won't be relevant later on. But this is the first time we see the clock tower, because then we pan down and we see the police station underneath where Elisa works, and she's in Captain Chavez's office, who is her boss, having an argument with her. So basically, Elisa knows that Tony Drayton is behind this attack. Apparently she's been shadowing this guy for a long time. Like, they've been having an operation to, like, arrest him once they finally get some dirt on him, but they don't have the dirt yet.
He's too slick.
So Elisa, like, wants to just go after him. She calls him a piece of pond scum in this scene, which I thought was really funny, because it reminded me of, like, of Wolverine from the 90s X-Men show, where he was always calling people, like, stinking piece of gutter trash. It reminded me of that.
I have heard the term pond scum before in like a movie somewhere.
I never have.
I have. I forget where, but it's definitely, I heard it before. It might have been this, who knows, but...
Right, okay, so Captain Chavez is like, okay, you can't go after him until we have some actual dirt. So Lisa's like, fine. But she does want to know what was in the crates that were stolen. That's when we find out that it was Captain Chavez describes it as non-projectile weapon prototypes. And Lisa's like, does that mean, like, lasers? What are you saying here? And then suddenly Owen is just there, like, in the room. Like, he was listening, and, like, he can't resist the opportunity to, like, correct someone and be a know-it-all. So he says, like, they're the latest design in high collimation charged particle beam technology. The laser's just for aiming. And then he, like, smirks at her. I don't know what he just said, but, like, what is... High collimation charged particle beam. What is that?
I'm not gonna...
What are you saying?
I'm not going to pretend like I know.
Well, I'm not sure that the word collimation is right.
That's what he said. I don't know what it is, though.
Alright.
Or how it's spelled.
Well, the rest of it, a charged particle beam is just a laser.
But he says the laser is just for the aiming, so it's not the actual weapon itself isn't a laser.
Listen,
The
you
point
know,
is, Owen's
it's
very smart.
it's a bunch of
Saga.
energy weapons from the Fallout universe.
I
Yeah.
mean, I do enjoy the fact that he points out that like the laser would just be for aiming, because like an actual laser wouldn't be useful the way that these guns are. And they go out of their way to say these aren't laser rifles, but we're going to call them laser rifles for the rest of the show.
Yeah.
Basically.
I don't know. I feel much easier calling them lasers.
Yeah, we're just gonna call them lasers from now on.
Yeah.
But okay, so she wants to know, like, how many guns were stolen. He says 322 of various sizes, styles, and power ranges. So Elisa just straight up leaves the office at this point. She's like, okay, I know all I need to know. Captain Chavez is like, where are you going? And Elisa's just like, I'm going to do my job. And she just leaves.
God.
So after that, we go to this old-timey looking movie theater where we see Showdown is playing, the western that Broadway's going to go to.
Yes.
We do have this funny shot where, like, we just see Broadway, like, squeeze his big ass through a hole in the ceiling.
Yeah.
And he drops down onto, like, it looks like there's just a pile of popcorn
Yeah,
bags
just-
there.
They had to stash it somewhere.
I guess this is where they keep their popcorn.
Okay, but I watched the scene and I'm like, what is going on? Because I looked at it and said, if Broadway he didn't look into this room first, right?
No, he just went in, like, ass first.
So, like, how did he know there was no one in there?
I don't know.
He just and he dropped it and he was surprised to see the popcorn. It's not like he'd been there before.
I think the three have been there before because they've been watching movies for a while now.
Right. But why was he surprised about the popcorn then?
You know, I can't understand a lot of what Broadway
Listen,
does.
sometimes things just have a way of making themselves together.
Maybe they're the ones who piled the popcorn up there so they could, like, fall on it.
Oh, it's like their stash, their secret stash.
Yeah, their secret stash. Well, because he does take one of the bags and he just, like, he sits himself up on, like the balcony there to watch the movie. So, like, there's people below him, but, like, he's alone on the balcony.
All this talk about popcorn and Broadway, you're gonna hate this.
Yeah, I will.
I'm gonna bring up the fact that Broadway is voiced by the same voice actor who plays Patrick from SpongeBob.
Oh my God.
And for some reason, I'm thinking of the scene where, like, Sandy calls them chickens, and he's like, hey, we're not chickens. And he drops his popcorn, and he starts eating them off the floor. like a chicken? Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
I just see Broadway doing that.
I could
honestly,
too,
'cause he likes
honestly.
food so much.
I feel like there are a lot of similarities between the two. Not to an extent, but, you know.
Well, you know, they've both got that sort of doofy vibe to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just that there's more to Broadway than
There's more-
just the doofy vibe.
There's depth to Broadway.
Yeah.
And we see that, like, come to light in this episode very beautifully.
Yeah, finally. Although before that, we do see him just chomping on popcorn.
Like, all he
dropping
does-
all these kernels onto the people below him.
He does
Like,
eat.
he's, like, so much is falling as he's eating.
I mean, we're still in early Gargoyles, which means lots of Broadway eating scenes. But,
Yeah.
like, this is the episode where that starts to change at least.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank God, because
And, like, once it starts changing, I was like, I don't know if I want this. Like, this is a lot. This is such a heavy episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they picked, like, the goofiest gargoyle to give the heaviest episode.
I love that, though. Like, that's a good design. I feel...
Because he probably needs it most.
Yeah.
I mean, I was very... You've heard me in the other podcast. I was very like, why did they just show Broadway just eating and nothing else? Because it's like, up until now, he's brought, like, nothing of substance. I mean,
He's been comic relief. He's been fan
but
service.
that's not really a lot of substance.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. He does get... I lost my train of thought. Anyways.
Well, like, yeah, we finally see it. There's, like, more to him than just what we've seen before. But we go from there. We the view switches. Now we're in... Did you have something to say?
I will in a moment.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
I want to do the line because I love this line.
Ooh.
Okay. So we go to some fancy looking hotel. This is the Park Manor Hotel, which I thought was, like, based on a real hotel. And it is, but it's based on the Plaza Hotel, which is in Manhattan. So we see Dracon going down the stairs inside this hotel, like, surrounded by his bodyguards. We should probably describe Dracon here. He's a beautiful, manly twunk. who's also a piece
No,
of shit.
I don't see that.
Okay,
I don't
look.
He
don't.
styles himself to look like he's
Okay,
beautiful.
like he's like a 40-year-old twunk.
I don't describe him as twunk,
like,
hunk,
beautiful
bear,
hair
twink,
conditioner.
anything, because Dracon just, like, he's lower than any of those categories.
That's fair.
I don't see the musculature stature of man in Dracon.
I think once he takes those suits off, he probably works out, I feel like.
Okay, show me a shirtless Dracon scene, and then we'll talk.
There aren't any, but I imagine.
So
that he
it doesn't
does.
matter to me.
I don't know. I always thought that the shoulders he had were just because he like adds the shoulders on his.
Maybe like an 80s like business.
Could you
woman.
imagine if like I never instead of like Wolf I fixated on Dracon?
You'd be a totally different person.
I would be like some I don't even know what that would be like. That's like the Twilight Zone to me.
Harrowing for all
God.
of us.
Yeah.
I just couldn't. That's why I'm saying Dracon is like at the lowest level for me. Not to mention the unibrow, I can't get past it. I'm gonna point it out every time we mention
I
him.
didn't even notice the unibrow until you started
I
talking
didn't
about
either.
it every second.
He has it. It's there.
It's there.
It's
there.
like there's like two thick eyebrows and there's a bunch of little squiggles in the middle that connects them.
But okay, so he's going down the stairs in the lobby of this hotel. There's all these 4 buff men around him, and then someone calls his name. It's Elisa, and she's all like hands on her hips as the crowd parts before her. She's like, it's all business now.
And then Dracon looks down at her and he's like, "Something on your mind, honey?"
Honey.
Sugar, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 of his guys immediately like just go to pull guns out of their jackets. Like they're gonna just murder her right in the fucking
Like, what
lobby
the
of this hotel.
They're not the smartest
Yeah,
bodyguards.
but Dracon's like, how about you don't do that today? And then he engages her in some witty repartee instead.
"I'm just a businessman.
Yeah, so she...
We're only out doing the town."
What does that fucking mean?
What meme?
No, what does that mean?
Oh. Yeah, well, okay. I'll go through the conversation. So...
Like doing the town. Are they having sex?
So she asks him about the hijacking immediately. And yeah, he says... hijacking? Sorry, detective, you've got the wrong guy. And then he and all of his men all like snidely laugh, like at the same time,
Oh
like
my
in sync
God.
with each other, which was a thing.
Like they're like playground bullies, but they're supposed to be like these fucking weapons dealers.
They're like, yeah. Then she asks about his alibi, and yeah, he says that he was out with his 4 boyfriends, and they're all doing the town, whatever that means.
they're having sex with each other in the town.
Yeah, I think that is what it means.
Probably.
Then he walks past her, and like all of his bodyguards follow him one at a time, and every single one of them like give her this weird little smirk as they go by.
Did they all give him a hand gesture to her?
Yeah,
The last one holds up one finger, and I don't know what that
He just
means.
like whips it around like this.
Yeah,
He's
he's
kinda
like,
he was thinking about he was thinking about booping her in the nose, but he thought that might be a bit much.
Yeah, he probably realized he would just break his arm if he did
Okay,
that.
so I will shit on Drake on this entire episode, but you know what? I will say his bodyguards kinda iffy, especially glasses. I like
We
glasses.
like glasses. Yeah, we like them.
Yeah.
Like, he has good taste in just, buff men who will do whatever he wants them to do.
Also, like 2 of them we think might be twins because they have the exact same design.
In one shot they had the same design, but in every other shot I noticed one of them had white hair.
Oh, he got a quick dye job between scenes.
Is that
Yes.
why?
Yeah.
Okay. Because when they,
I don't know.
It's not. There was another shot besides the one you pointed out because when they were all walking by one, the same guy walked by twice.
Oh my god. Yeah,
What?
it's probably he's got you know what? He's a kinky guy. Maybe he's got a thing for twins.
Maybe.
I mean that's a common
who
thing.
Who doesn't have a thing for twins?
Honestly.
Though?
Yeah, everybody.
I mean, once Goliath gets his twin, that's going to spoiler territory. We don't want to talk about that right now.
I mean, I was gonna argue the technicalities on that, but I mean, hey.
But okay, what else happens in this conversation? Elisa's all like, "You're gonna slip up one day, Dracon, and then I'll be there." And then Dracon gives another little speech about how like they've got no proof on him. He can do whatever he wants.
Face it, sugar. You got nothing.
He's so
Sugar.
sassy.
It's so sassy.
Like, but that's telling the viewers like how evil he is, because he's like the first sexist person we've had on the show.
Mhm.
He's very sexist.
So like that tells you that he's definitely a bad guy.
When you were like saying like that whole conversation, I was thinking like Elisa would just be standing there like, you got 24 hours, 23 hours, 59 minutes.
Don't make me start counting.
I would stick around, but the air in here is starting to stink.
It's not me. I just went.
And the fly lands on Drapon's nose.
Anyway, that's a deep cut. If any viewers know what we're talking about, please mail us, and
We've
we'll
been
give
watching.
you,
We've been
we'll give
watching
you a
Dark
prize.
Place.
Okay,
on
or
the
you
side.
could just tell them.
Well, I think I would like them to know the reference.
Oh
I
my
want
God.
more people to watch Dark Place. It's a great show.
We go back to the movie. This is nothing really happens here. It's a black and white Western film.
There's like a showdown between two cowboys.
Yeah, like we see a shootout happen.
One of them is kind of dillfish looking, but he gets even though he shoots first, he gets shot by the other guy in the showdown.
Yeah, well, his bullet goes through the bullet that was shooting at him, and then it hits the other guy, and he dies.
Yeah, I like.
What the fuck is this wanted bullshit
What are
going
you
on right
talking
now?
about?
This is like some fucking
It's like
Robin
Matrix
Hood.
shit that happens.
Oh, Matrix. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I like the
I
Matrix.
think more importantly is the fact that when we look at the scene, you notice that the way it's cut, we don't actually see the bullet hole ever. There's no
Yeah.
blood.
Mhm.
Uh huh.
It's
It's
like,
very
like,
Hollywood.
it's like the Hollywood
Big,
version of
upbeat.
gun violence.
You've got the upbeat music playing.
Yeah.
It's
And
very-
Broadway's into it. Like he says "cool" like under his breath as he's watching.
He sounds very cute when he says it, though.
But yeah, what this episode is about though is like how the reality
Yeah,
of,
like
of gun violence. Can
I
be.
think it's very interesting how they portray that. It's like because that is something a lot of people don't acknowledge, is that the gun-related violence you see in movies and TV shows is vastly fucking different than real life.
Yeah. But I find it very intriguing that they went and showed like normal gun violence, and they didn't feel the need to like take it up to 11 on how it was displayed in the video, and actually showed a realistic portrayal of what Hollywood does with guns.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of unusual for cartoons.
Granted, it is a black and white movie, so it might be like an older movie, and they had less, they had more limitations on what they could show in a movie then. So people had this projected viewpoint of like what gun violence was. I mean, you look at all the westerns on stuff like TV Land, and it's like you see people get shot all the time on those shows, but there's never like any blood or anything like that.
And as Hudson said early on the episode, it's hard to tell like what is real and what isn't when it comes to movies. At least for the Gargoyles, because they're so new to everything.
That does kind of like, now that you point it out like
So
that,
Broadway
that makes the
watching
quote,
the gun
that makes the
thing.
quote a bit heavier.
Yeah. Like this is how he thinks it has to be in real life.
I appreciate that quote more, that you just pointed that out.
Yeah.
But so we go then to Elisa's apartment. She's just getting home. We see her hang up her jacket, and then she hangs up her gun next to it, and we see like a close up of the gun, so that we definitely have to notice that she's doing this. But then we hear a cat meow.
Cagney!
She has a beautiful, wonderful cat who never has anything to do with the story of any episode it's in, but we just like Cagney a lot.
I like that Elisa just has a cat. She's allowed.
I like that she talks to the cat in a very dramatic fashion. She picks the cat up and she says, "Be glad you got a home, cat. The streets just got a whole lot meaner." Which is like, I
okay.
also talk to my cat in very dramatic ways when it's just the two of us
when
alone.
I
So I
imagine-
appreciate that.
In Elisa's line of work, I imagine, I think with most detectives and cops and stuff like that, they try to find ways to alleviate the tension.
Yeah, she needs something to cuddle
like
after
a
a hard
comfort
day.
animal,
Yeah.
I guess.
And Cagney seems very cuddly in this episode, so
Yes.
he must be good at that.
Yes.
He or she, I don't know the gender of this cat.
Cagney's like a name.
Yeah.
I don't know what
He's
gender.
like a name.
I don't know
It's
what
not a
gender.
name,
It's like a
it
name.
definitely
like a
is a
name.
name.
You could say the same thing about my name.
Yes.
Yes.
We all have names.
We all have names.
So okay, we see Broadway flying. He's like doing finger guns in midair because he was so into the movie he just saw. And then he stops by Elisa's place because Elisa is the coolest and his friend. And he just like goes to the skylight, and like his excuse is like, "I was in the neighborhood," which I thought was cute.
I mean, maybe she lives near the theater.
Yeah, maybe. But, she's at the stove, she's cooking, she's all like, oh, is that you, Broadway? Then she says, make yourself comfortable, I'll throw on a couple of steaks. And she, winks at him.
This is, the first time we've not only seen Elise's apartment, but, the Gargoyles and Elise's apartment, so this already implies that they have stopped by her apartment before.
Yes.
I just think their friendship is really cute.
Yes, it is.
I think Broadway and Elisa always have, a really cute bond with each other.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So he's just sort of, looking around the place. I think he looks at a photo of Lisa's family, and then he notices it. But I think that's really neat that they introduce her family, but also there's still one left that we haven't met still.
Yeah.
They're saving her for later.
She's in a few episodes, I think. Her sister. I don't think she adds.
I'll be honest. When I read, I was looking on the Gargoyle wiki to make sure I got the names right, and I saw that Elisa had a sister. And I have no memory of this girl.
Oh no,
She's
I do
from the
not know
Coyote
who
episode.
she is.
She's in the Coyote episode.
Okay, well that's good to know.
Which is a really good episode.
Yeah.
But basically, her sister is not thrilled with her heritage, and that's all you need to know for now.
Well, I'm sure we'll get to that many months from now when we get to that episode.
Yeah.
But okay, so he sees Elisa's gun though. So he goes up to it and he takes it out. He breathes cool under his breath. With some difficulty, he fits his big finger into the trigger, and then he starts just pointing it at things. Which is he's playing with it like a kid plays with a toy gun. I had Nerf and water guns growing up as a kid. I would do this sort of thing. Probably most kids did. Mm-hmm. So, and he's acting out the scene from the movie he just watched. Mm-hmm. And then the gun fires. Broadway drops it in shock. It hits the ground. It's still smoking. And he says something like, "Sorry, my fault. I was playing with the gun. Stupid of me. Hope I didn't break anything." And then he looks over, and Elisa is not at the oven anymore. He goes over, and she's on the floor, and there's blood around her.
Well, there should be blood around her anyways.
Okay, I went back to the DVD, and there is blood in the DVD cut. So viewers, or listeners rather, there are several different versions of this episode with varying degrees of blood.
Yes.
The version on Disney Plus that we watched first edited the blood out.
Which I thought was bullshit.
Which I think, really, because this is supposed to be a serious scene. Mm-hmm. And, to remove the blood, that sort of just rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, it does.
Because it takes away from the impact.
Oh, fuck Disney Plus.
Yeah, I was gonna say Greg Weisman's gone on the record on how he feels about the blood in this scene. So it's
it definitely needs to be there. I would argue we need the blood in this scene more than the first scene we saw with blood in it when the Viking slashed at Goliath and he caught it in his hand.
Yeah.
I think this is the scene that needs blood in it, of any scene in the show.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But Broadway doesn't know what to do. He throws the gun away. He goes to Elisa, who's not answering him. She's just lying on the floor. She opens her eyes for a second, but then they close again, and he can't get her to move or anything. So he picks her up, and he flies out the skylight. Cagney is just left behind, meowing after them. He is smart though. He gets to a hospital first. And he's also very lucky because he spots just a gurney that's by one of the entrances. There's no one else around. So he lays Elisa down on this gurney. He looks at his hands, which are now covered in blood. And then we just see two men going down the hallway, and they see Elisa there, and they go and check her condition and wheel her inside very quickly. Mm-hmm. And Broadway was behind a corner watching as they did that, and you can just see guilt eating at him just from his face.
Yeah. It's a very harrowing sequence of events.
I can imagine his thought process. He's you can see he's blaming himself for what happened because he's the one who fired the gun, but he's probably also wondering if he should have maybe revealed himself to the hospital people right there because he could have gotten help for Elisa faster. Mm-hmm. and like wondering if like now that she is there, like what if he wasn't fast enough? Like what if if he made a mistake, she'll die.
That's a common occurrence, especially when a traumatic event occurs, because immediately once it ends, you're not thinking about something else. You're just so fixative on the event. You're wondering, like, is there a better way I could have done this?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and he remains like this for the rest of the episode.
Oh, yeah. No, I think, like, he's pretty much traumatized from this point onward in the show. Not necessarily fixative, not like he's not like just like completely broken because of it for the rest of the show, but it definitely never leaves him. But yeah,
because he does not like guns from
No.
this point forward. Like Lexington and Brooklyn both got like actual like adversaries in their character episodes. Broadway doesn't really get that because like Dracon isn't his enemy after this point. Like not really. I feel like just guns in general are.
Yeah.
Or like the concept of like modern day violence.
And I think in that of itself makes it much more powerful because with Lexington and Brooklyn, they both had these episodes that was very reliant on other characters, the idea of trust in this new world that they were trying to grasp a concept on, and Broadway, who doesn't seem to really mind or care for, stuff such as that, and just kind of sticks to himself and tries to do his best, finds himself in a much more shocking predicament.
Mm-hmm. So we see the castle again. It's almost sunup. The other gargoyles are talking about Broadway not getting back in time.
Mm-hmm.
And just before dawn, Owen arrives and just says he has bad news. Goliath is like, well, hurry up because the sun's about to come up. Like, you have to speak quickly now. So Owen just says very rapidly, your friend Elisa Maza has been shot. They're not sure if she'll live. And then there's just this beautiful shot of like the stone actually washing over Goliath's face as like the sun hits him. And it's just, he's like just frozen, like in shock.
God,
which is like nice way to break it, Owen, but Goliath did tell him to speak fast, so.
Mm-hmm.
Owen's just doing his duty here.
Yeah, God.
He's a beautiful soul. But okay, so the day passes pretty quickly. I think the only real scenes we see are, we see Dracon and his 4 boy toys, like, out in the woods, and they're, like, testing out their new cool weapons, having themselves a giggle over Elisa getting shot. The weapons are really cool, though, because, like, he demonstrates, like, how they work. He shoots it, and, like, a rock just, like, explodes. He's able to, like, shoot through a tree and hit a rock behind it. Like, they have, like, there's clearly some sort of, like, precision targeting system or something happening here. But, yeah, like, the only other thing that happens, I think they mentioned they've arranged a deal that night with their buyer. But that they've already sold a few of the guns to cover their own expenses.
So, is this, like, the first daytime scene in the modern day?
No, we've seen others.
Yeah, no, we've seen others.
We've seen Xanatos scenes, and like Elisa scenes, but they usually go by very quickly.
Yeah,
because the show does focus on the.
No, it's the first one we've seen in the past couple episodes, I'd say.
Yeah, I know in the 5-part of Awakening, at least, we got that extended sequence of Elisa protecting Goliath while he was turned to stone that one time.
Yes, of course, and not to mention like when the whole Scotland era, we did get several daytime sequences.
Well, yeah, that's what I said in the modern day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, yeah, in the modern day, right, of course.
And we also see in the hospital that the doctors there are just operating on Elisa. So okay, next night...
And one of them just mutters, guns.
Yes, he just mutters, guns.
Mm-hmm.
So that night, we see another scene of Goliath and crew... Oh no, I'm sorry, let me start over.
Goliath and Croup?
No, Goliath and crew.
What are you doing with Goliath?
I'm not here. I'm not in the episode.
I think you are. I think you're lying to me.
Shush. So the next night, Goliath and crew burst in on Owen because they're like, okay, give us more information now on what you just said the other night. So they ask like how it happened. Owen tells them they're not sure, but that he does say Elisa was in the middle of an operation to keep particle beam weaponry off the streets. He does not say that the weaponry is Xanatos's. He just says that it was very important to her. So, the Gargoyles all split up. Goliath is going to check on Elise at the hospital. Brooklyn and Lex are going to find Broadway, except they don't in this episode.
Yeah, we just don't see him again.
And Hudson's going to stay behind and watch the castle, like he always does.
Oh.
But we do briefly see Brooklyn. He's on. I'm sorry. We briefly see Broadway. He's on top of a building, just like brokenly sobbing.
Oh.
This episode is so goddamn heavy.
I know.
But we go to the hospital then with Goliath. He's looking on Elisa through the skylight. And then we meet 3 new characters. Because Elisa's family comes in.
Mm-hmm.
So it is her parents and her younger brother, Derek.
Uh-huh.
Who someone here does not like Derek.
At least he doesn't do anything this episode.
I kind of like Derek.
I like Derek.
Well, I'll see if I can convince you to hate him like I hate Derek when we get to his episode, because he is awful! But no, this episode he's fine. But okay. So Elisa just come from a mixed racial family. Her father is Native American. He is a desk sergeant, I think in the same precinct that she's in. And he actually used to be Captain Chavez's boss. I looked up random facts about him.
Her father's retired though, isn't he?
Is he? I don't think he is.
Yeah, because her brother's still on active duty. She's on active duty, but he's retired. Because this comes up in that episode you don't like.
Oh wow.
Okay, well,
I'm pretty sure.
we'll learn when we get to that.
How the turntables.
And then she has a black mother who's a university teacher, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Derek, who's just a fuckboy.
Yeah.
So the doctor goes in. He gives them like a lot of doctor speak. Basically, he says they're still not sure if Elisa's trying to like live. So the dad is like, should we call in like her sister from Arizona? Derek's like, no, she's gonna be fine. Like, stop talking crazy talk, Dad.
Mm-hmm.
The dad wants to know what they can do, and the mom is like, we can pray. So that we just sort of leave them doing that.
Okay, but those injury descriptions that
Yeah.
the doctors gave,
Yeah.
those were rough.
Oh
yeah.
god.
Oh yeah, I just skipped over it because I didn't. Yeah, there was a lot to write down.
Yeah. Did you write them down? Because I didn't write them
I
down.
did not write. I tried to write them
I know
down.
he mentioned that the
but
gun
I
was like
couldn't-
at the base of her spine, the bullet
Yeah.
rather, and that he had to remove it from there.
Like
And
they,
it was like 12 hours of surgery or something like that.
Yeah. And there's
It
another
it
10.
punctured her lung when got lodged into the base of her spine.
Yeah,
believe is
like,
what
it
he
was.
says.
It was serious
And
shit.
yeah,
they
no.
did not pull any punches in that scene. That
No.
is what's important to mention.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I forgot to mention, Captain Chavez does actually come in here, and she says hi to everyone, because she knows the family. She's
Yes.
friends with all of them. And she gives some details on the case, which are only important because Goliath is overhearing them. But she says, like, she suspects that one of Drayton's people might have actually broken into Elisa's apartment and shot her with her own gun. It may even have been Drayton, like, himself. And they ask if there are any prints on the weapon, and she says, like, some, but so badly smudged they don't even look human. Which I just thought that was a cute line.
Yeah.
Just their gargoyle prints, and
Yeah.
they're not human.
So gargoyles do have fingerprints. Then.
Apparently.
I guess. I don't know. I don't know what they look
Mm.
like. I guess they look smudged, is what they look like.
They're smudgy. Like he's got his grubby little gargoyle fingies.
Yeah, his mitts.
Yeah, I think you forgot to mention Goliath was. I mean, you mentioned Goliath was listening in, but I think I don't know if you mentioned that he was like above the skylight above her room or something.
Yeah, he's watching from the skylight. It's a good thing that all these buildings have skylights.
Yeah,
in the
right.
show that the
Yeah.
gargoyles can look through.
Like, she just so happens to be on the top floor of the hospital.
Yeah.
Well, after they leave, he does have his own little moment with Elisa, because he jumps in and he says that he'll promise he'll avenge her, which is one of Goliath's best qualities, in my opinion, is just how willing he is to get revenge.
He's very.
I love how vengeful he is.
Like he's very caring. I'd say to the point where he's almost like ride or die.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so.
I mean, if I was with Goliath,
He's
it
romantic.
would be a great comfort to me that if anything were to happen to me, he would get revenge on the perpetrator.
He's a protective romantic type.
Yeah, he's beautiful.
He's amazing.
So there's sort of a bunch of scenes here. Let me just go through them real quick. Goliath goes to the Park Manor Hotel, and he listens in at Drayton's window. He hears that they're set to offload the weapons like at midnight down at the docks. So like he knows that he has to go there at that point in time.
Yeah.
Then we see Central Park. Broadway stops a mugging. But the mugger has like this crazy sci-fi laser gun. So Broadway is like, where did you get this gun? Like, who gave this to you?
I do love that scene.
Like, yeah, like, okay, I'm going through it very quickly, but, like, Broadway has so much emotion in this scene. Like, he's so full of anger right now.
Because it's probably my favorite scene.
Because he's
in the
seeing
episode.
guns, like, possibly mess up someone else's life, and he's just like, no, like, this cannot be allowed to, like, continue.
Yeah, as soon as he sees the gun, he's like, what's this?
He
new
just,
weapon?
Like, crushes it
a
in
new
his
thing
hand.
to kill people with?
Yeah, like, he's so mad. But the
His
guy
eyes
is
are
like,
glowing.
the guy's like, oh, a guy sold it to me. They call them glasses.
Okay.
He's selling them. And Broadway's like, where? So he knows to also go down to the docks. So away he flies.
Yeah, like Broadway in that scene is not like he's so angry. He's still not very scary, except that he's very scary in his actions.
Yeah.
Like Broadway, even at his angriest, isn't intrinsically scary. I love the fact that he's crushing a gun in his hands.
Well, like, we've seen Goliath with this much anger in him, but this is the first time we've seen Broadway with, like, this
It's
much
a very intense
rage
scene,
in his eyes.
And as I just mentioned, it's probably my favorite scene in that episode because it's like that's where
It's
like
really
we really just
powerful.
see that change in Broadway.
We see another hospital scene where, like, Elisa, like, she flatlines.
Oh god,
They have to use, like, those electro paddle
defibrillators.
things. Yeah. On her, that was another tense scene. Okay, then we see another of my least favorite characters. We see Captain Chavez, and then there's the first appearance of Matt Bluestone.
I think Haran and I both agree that we like Matt.
Yeah, I know that you both like Matt. You both like Derek. I don't know what's wrong with the two of you. I'm the hater of this episode on some of these characters.
I mean, I guess you are.
I think Matt's just a waste of space, personally. But again, like, I can't hate him too much in this episode because he doesn't really do anything. We just see him as all. But Captain Chavez is all like, follow that car, because, like, they're following Dracon. But Dracon just, like, pulls into a garage, and they go past him, and then, like, he pulls back out of the garage, like, oh, I gave them the slip.
He doesn't say that. I like.
He says something like that.
You said that in his voice, but I don't think he says that in the episode.
But he does not give Goliath the slip, who is also following him. So Goliath just, like, follows his car. I don't know why this scene is even here, because Goliath already knows he has to be at the docks. So, like, does he need to follow Dracon to the docks?
He just happens to see him on his way there.
Yeah. But okay, so down at the docks, we see Glasses making a sale, or trying to make a sale, because Broadway then just, like, grabs him by the head from above and, like, lifts him up and, like, squeezes his head and is like, who do you work for?
His face during that scene was
Yeah,
just
like, Glasses'
amazing.
face just, like, all stretched out and, like, scrunched up and
I
just,
mean,
like, I love
honestly,
it,
if some primordial like creature came up from behind you and picked you up like that and you couldn't see it, how would you react?
It's
And
pretty
squeeze your
amazing.
fucking head.
Okay, so we're finally at the gun deal. We see Goliath, like, watching this building that he knows that this deal is gonna go down in, and then Broadway, like, flies up behind him. So at first Goliath is, like, he looks, like, annoyed at him, like, in a sort of, like, where have you been, like, sort of way. But then he's like, well, it doesn't matter, because you're just in time. You can help me deal with the one who shot Elisa. Which makes Broadway, like, looks really shocked for a second, but then he realizes that Goliath means someone, like, other than him. But, like, they can't continue this conversation, because Goliath doesn't mean, like, there's no time for talk, and he just, like, flies down. And it's best Broadway to follow him.
and Broadway's just like, right.
Yeah, it's like, okay, a little awkward right
Yeah.
now. But it's like the two of them, they just shred through this, like, warehouse wall. Dracon and his goons are in there. Their immediate response is shoot him, which I do appreciate. Just like there's these massive muscle-bound monsters who are just suddenly attacking.
And
you.
these guys are on edge because of the gun deal already. I believe Ron
Yeah.
mentioned while we were watching the episode.
Yeah.
And it makes more sense that they would shoot them on sight here than the random bikers in the street from last episode.
Those bikers left a sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
What was up with those guys? We thought they'd be accepting, but they weren't.
Well, sometimes you eat the bar, sometimes the bar eats you.
What does that even
True
mean?
words.
It's a quote from The Big Lebowski. It just means whatever happens, happens.
Oh.
hmm
So okay, so these guys they grab the high-tech guns and they just start firing. July does something that's really cool here, but like he sees a fuse box and he just bashes it, so that makes all the lights go off. I feel like by this point he knows what fuse boxes are. Like, I don't hate this. Like, I hate him using a fire hydrant in that other episode.
Yeah.
This time I'm giving it a pass. This is wonderful that he knew this.
Yes.
So they just start taking the guys out like one at a time. And I always feel like this is like when gargoyles, like as a species, are most in their element when they can like hunt in the dark.
Yeah.
There's this one really good shot where the guy is firing his gun at Broadway. We only see light like when he fires the gun, otherwise it's pitch black.
Yeah.
So like the first shot, like Broadway's like way back, like they're like dodging. Then he like has to recharge, and the second shot he does, Broadway's like right in front of his face.
I love
Broadway
it.
just fucking
It's so
grabs him.
fucking cool.
It was really good animation.
Probably
It was
one of my
really good.
favorite action sequences in the show.
During that, Goliath also like just is in the background and picks up someone and vanishes, Batman style.
They
Oh,
keep
yeah.
doing that. Like, what happened to these guys? He did the same thing to Jackal that other episode. Like, where do they go?
I don't know. We know they're not dead though.
But yeah, so there's lasers going off everywhere. There's men getting grabbed. It's a mess. I don't want to spend too much time talking about it, but like that's basically what happens. There is one really hot part where Broadway like stands on top of a box and he tail grabs someone, and he can pretty much see his entire ass during it.
Yeah.
So kudos to the animators for that bit. But Dracon like sees that shit's not going his way. He goes to make his escape. He climbs up onto a catwalk. Goliath's like charging up after him.
I remember seeing like the way Goliath is climbing after him.
Like,
I'm just like, bro, if I were fucking Dracon, I'd be like, okay, whatever,
Yeah,
just come
like-
kill me.
yeah, like-
I wouldn't even fuck with
this
that.
is the part where I would have just flipped out right now. I'd just be like, oh my god.
Like
okay.
his pants are fucking soiled.
Yeah. Dracon's like firing down at him from the catwalk, but then like Goliath's not there anymore. And he's like, where did he go? But then like Goliath like bashes up through the floor of the catwalk because he's that extra right now. And he just like hits the gun away. Dracon, at this point, I don't think he knows what to do anymore. He's just like, okay, monsters have attacked me. Like, what do you do in this situation?
Yeah.
But Goliath knows what he's gonna do because he's just gonna fucking kill Dracon. Like, he has him, like, he holds him out by the ankle, like, over the ledge. And, like, he straight up tells him, like, I'm going to kill you. Because, like, Elisa will have her revenge through me right now. But Broadway's like, no, like, you can't kill him. Goliath's like, I'm pretty sure I can, and I'm going to. But then Broadway drops the bomb. He's like, Dracon didn't shoot Elisa. I did. And, like, you see Goliath's eyes. They've been in, like, the white mode this whole time. You can immediately see his pupil appear back in his eyes.
Yes.
And he's like, what? And Broadway goes on, he explains that it was an accident, he didn't mean to do it, like, he was just playing with it, it went off in his hands. And then, like, you see him, like, shrink back, and his wings, like, pull, like, in front of himself a little bit, and he's like, I'm sorry. And it's like, oh my
It's
god.
such a it's a sad scene.
His exact words were, I was looking at her gun and it went off.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, it's still not a... He still hasn't even accepted the whole, he actually shot the gun thing. It's more of a...
It just kind of happened.
It was an accident.
And
It
then,
was.
no,
Like-
yeah.
But, like, it
Like,
still shows
it's
his
probably very
innocence.
painful to him to realize how at fault
Like,
he
it's
was.
still a recent event, and he
Yeah.
still hasn't properly processed the entire thing
like,
yet.
I give him the excuse. I do not give the excuse to Demona, who's had 1,000 years to process her own guilt, and she's just decided not to do it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
So July just sort of like glares, and he's like, I'm just gonna tie up Dracon right now. So he like grabs these metal bars, he ties up Dracon, he ties up all his goons, he just like puts them together in a man pile. And then we see like the warehouse doors open up, and like Owen's there. It turns out he was the mystery buyer that they were gonna sell all of these guns to, and July's like, okay. And Owen, all he says is like, well, Mr. Xander does have to get the guns back somehow. And then he says, excellent job, by the way. he'll be pleased that you recovered his property.
Jesus.
And July just like growls, like he's so annoyed right now because he's inadvertently worked for Xanatos.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like, "Is this all of the guns that were stolen?" And this is my personal favorite line of the episode.
Oh my god.
Owen says, "Hard to say for certain, but I would estimate that 37 guns, rifles, and heavy weapons are missing."
Like, that's such a specific fucking number.
Like, it's hard to say, but here's an exact count of what's missing, though.
Oh my god.
I love, like, this is such a good Owen episode. He has so many good lines.
You're so focused on Owen, and he's like...
Because every scene he's in, he's hysterical.
I guess.
I love him. So, okay. Anyway, Goliath is like... Owen did make one mistake this episode. It was congratulating Goliath for doing Xanatos' work.
Yeah.
Because that definitely rubbed Goliath the wrong way. And then he grabs one of the guns and uses it to shoot all of the other guns and make them explode.
No, they don't explode, they melt.
They melt.
They melt. Excuse me.
They would explode, you would think, but no, they just melt.
And, like, Owen's like, "Stop, like, what are you doing? Don't do that." But, like, what's he going to fucking do?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, all he can say is, like, "Mr. Xanatos isn't going to like this."
And yeah.
Which, like, no shit, that's why Goliath did it, Owen. Like, that was the point. And Goliath's just like, "I'll be happy to discuss the matter with him." And he, like, breaks the last gun that he used, and now there are no more guns.
Other than the 37 that are out on the streets.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
36, because, you know...
Broadway
estimated
destroyed his
37.
An estimated 37.
An estimated. So they're fucking done now. They're just gonna leave.
I imagine like going to fucking Owen's birthday. It must be the hardest fucking shit because it's like, how old are you, Owen? I'd estimate somewhere between 35. Just say 35, you weirdo.
35 and some odd hours and minutes.
God.
So Goliath he tells Broadway to come on, that they've got a sick friend to visit. And then, like, Broadway's eyes light up. He's like, "You mean Elisa isn't dead?" But Goliath does not answer him. Because, like, his rage is still simmering, too, over knowing that, like, Broadway did this. So, like, he's too angry to
I'd say it's more so Goliath has kind of accepted that, but I'd say it's more so Goliath doesn't even fucking know her status.
Yeah,
that's
true, he doesn't know. But, like, he didn't know, he just didn't answer at all. Like,
yeah.
I feel like his eyes narrowed when Broadway said that. Like, sort of in a sort of way that's just like, "Don't even fucking talk to me right now. Like,
Yeah.
you're in the doghouse."
Yeah.
But Elisa's not dead, everybody. She's fine. They go to see
Not
her.
necessarily fine.
She's fine.
Definitely
She's
not
fine.
100%.
She will be fine, but she wakes up surrounded by her family. They're all very happy that she's okay. They don't neg her even a little bit, which is a rarity, I'm pretty sure, for this family, as we see later on. But right now, they're just happy that she's fine.
Yeah.
They do fill her in on how Dracon got caught. Derek is all like, "Oh yeah, they found him tied up in one of Xanatos' warehouses, babbling something about monsters attacking him." And it's like, waka waka waka, that crazy Dracon telling these wacky stories.
I'm pretty sure they just thought he was on drugs.
Yeah,
Like,
probably.
That's the implication that I got out of this.
Unibrow McGee.
They clear up pretty quick, though, because Lisa does need her rest. After they're gone, Goliath and Broadway, they come down for their little moment with their... So, each of the trio's episodes has ended with that character, like, profusely apologizing. And this one is, like, the worst of the bunch, because Broadway is just, like, so broken up about what he did.
Yeah.
Like he thought he had killed her. So, like, he confesses everything to her. He says he's never going to touch a gun, like, ever again. That he's so sorry. And Lisa, like, she's much more amazing than I would be in this situation. Because she's like, it was partly my fault, too, because she didn't put the gun away properly. And she says that they both made mistakes. Which Broadway is like, "Yeah, but you almost paid for those mistakes with your life." And she says, "Then let's not repeat them." Which, that's as closest to forgiveness as, like, you're gonna get from someone who just woke up after being shot by you.
I think Goliath and Elisa are both great parents in the retrospect.
They're amazing.
They know it was an accident, there was no ill will, but they already know that Broadway's guilt is going to eat away at
like
him.
they know it's not going to happen again. That they
Yeah.
don't really need to do anything else in
Yes.
this situation for
Yes.
the situation to like be rectified in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, there's no point in punishing him because he's already punished himself and will continue to do so probably.
Yes.
As those two are going out, Elisa does try to say something else, but Goliath shushes her, and he's all like, "Sleep now, you're safe." And he strokes her hair lovingly.
Mm-hmm.
And then the episode, it just ends with the sun coming up and shining to Elisa's room, and then we see that Goliath and Broadway are doing the standard statue guard duty.
Yeah, they're perched outside her room. It's very cute.
Yeah, it's really nice.
All right.
So that was the episode.
God.
So, I just thinking, what do you guys think Alicia was trying to say? Because it seemed like it was going to be something personal to Goliath.
I don't know. Probably just I honestly have no idea, actually. What do you think she was trying to say?
I don't think it was anything, overly emotional. I just think maybe she would. I don't know. Maybe
She was probably going to tell Goliath that hey, Xanthus is almost out of prison. You need to find a new place to live for the third time in a fucking row.
That might be it.
Yeah.
On her
Honestly,
fucking deathbed, she's like, Goliath, find a new goddamn place to live already.
Oh my god, that's a very Lisa thing to do. Now that you say that, that's probably what it was.
No, I don't think it was that.
I mean, I feel like even on her deathbed or whatever, she would be that fucking I gotta protect them and stuff like that. But I don't know. I don't think she was gonna say oh Goliath, I've loved you all these years.
No,
not at that
of course
point.
That's
not.
a very Demona thing
I
to
feel
say.
like she was probably going to thank them, probably. Thanks for bringing Dracon to justice. Because they didn't mention that part while they were
that's
talking to her.
true.
But she knows that they did it because of what Derek
Yeah.
told her.
Mm-hmm.
So she knows that they did, but they didn't, they're not going over that at this point.
I'm not one who likes being shushed ever. I don't think anyone is.
So you don't enjoy
No.
being a library
but-
with librarians.
I would rather be the librarian shushing rather than to have to interact with the librarian. I have a love-hate relationship with libraries. I mean, I love books, but I hate government-ordained book funding places or whatever. Not funding, but you know what I mean.
I'd rather the government fund libraries than anything else that they're currently funding.
That's fair. I don't like the idea that I have to, owe more money and return the book eventually. I'd rather just keep the book. I don't like that. I don't know. Look, I'm weird. Okay, that's off subject. Anyways, I'm not one who likes being shushed, but if Goliath shushed me, I'd be like, oh.
Imagine if he just put his finger to your lip and was
I would suck on his finger.
oh my god.
I feel like I hate it when people put their fingers in my face in general. I'm always trying to bite them. Even when I was a kid, when people would do that, I would bite their fingers. So, I mean, that's just my first impulse, and I would be like...
You have an oral fixation.
I don't. I really don't.
You would just suck on his finger, though.
Because I feel like it would taste nice.
Oh my god. Probably tastes like granite. So what would we rate this episode?
Oh, well, obviously it's a bold 5 out of 5. I mean,
Yeah.
not even just for, I'm not going to count the horniness. I'm not going to
This
count
is the one that
anything.
we don't need horniness for it to be
No,
a perfect
it's the
episode.
writing is amazing. Animation is fucking amazing. The story, characters, everything is amazing. I think my only pet peeves are the existence of Dracon, but that's whatever, because this is still a fucking solid episode.
I feel like the more Gargoyles veers away from fantasy and sci-fi stuff, the less I'm usually interested. Cause Dracon just being a very normal sort of mobster kind of bad guy, I usually just don't like that. For that reason.
Sometimes it's the other way around. I think you could even classify this episode as a bottle episode, which we've gotten a few of. The episodes that focus more on the character depth than it does the actual story.
Mm-hmm.
Which bottle episodes are usually my personal favorites when it comes to shows. I like just analyzing characters. I like, the story experimentation, seeing what happens when they go out of their depth. I think it's the psychologist in me that's always super into stuff like that. But yeah, I actually prefer it the other way around. I like it when they veer away from the fantasy stuff and they get really into just the raw character depictions.
Yeah, but okay, so But they don't do that very much in Drayton episode. Like Drayton doesn't further like.
I'm not talking about Drayton episodes.
I'm talking about Drayton.
Why are you talking about Drayton? I don't care about Drayton.
Well, because he's an example of like the non-fantasy type of person. Like Drayton and Matt Bluestone are both like that, and I don't like their episodes.
I like Matt's episode. Mostly because when I was a kid, I wished I was Matt in that whole episode.
Like, you can still have great character work while, like, also having, like, oh, there's the Phoenix State here sending people through time, or, like, something crazy happening.
You can't say that Matt's episode was not utterly crazy with that, like, hotel. That was one of the craziest things they dealt with.
The S&M hotel.
Yeah.
I like that episode.
Well,
I like crazy
we can talk
episodes.
about how actually that episode is bad when we get around to it.
We are going to be very heated.
I'm right.
This is going to be debates.
We're going to come to blows when we talk about that one. So we all agree, though, it's like a 5 out of 5 loincloths for this?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say this episode really holds up well today, I think is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I love that this episode is much more relevant than when it first aired. That's a wonderful feeling to have after many years.
Gun control has always been relevant. I would say recently, though, it's much more needed. I'd say we need more shows like Gargoyles in this instance.
I feel like this episode was like more like one of the more nuanced I've seen on the topic, because like it wasn't so much saying that like Elisa shouldn't have a gun or like all guns are bad, but like that if you have a gun, it should at least be like, you know, locked up properly and like the proper safety like regulations should be followed. Which I think like even people who are pro guns can agree on that much at least.
Yeah,
I hope.
But it like beyond that, it also goes into the whole level of, well, how powerful do these guns need to be?
Yeah, do we really need like sci-fi laser rifles on the street?
No.
Like, is that something we need to have?
No.
Do we have a horniest moment for this episode? We weren't even sure if we wanted to do a horniest moment for this one.
No, we weren't. I don't know. I like the butt shots, I guess. There's quite a few of them.
Goliath and Broadway both had a really good butt shot.
If we're gonna pick a moment...
We didn't talk about Goliath's butt shot.
Oh, yeah. Okay, when he, you're right. I totally skipped over that. When Goliath went to, like, spy on Dracon, it looks like he just came straight down from the sky, and, like, he fell like onto his legs, and like he sort of like squats when he lands, and like you see like
his
entire
loincloth goes up.
A whole loincloth
his
went
whole
up, but then like
goes up.
he had like weird like loincloth underwear.
That's what the animators
loincloth.
always do to cop out of showing nudity.
Like sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. But like, I wish they didn't for that part, because you would have seen his whole ass there.
You would have seen everything.
Oh my god!
You would have seen London and France.
Hiron actually went and did an edit of that part, like as soon as we saw it. So yeah, we'll have to put that on Twitter later.
Yes.
He put in Goliath's ass the way it should be.
I mean, that scene I was definitely the most fixative on. I do like the Broadway butt shots as well.
Yeah, they both got one good butt shot each.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to pick any Broadway butt shot, it has to be the one where he's grabbing the guy and restraining him with his tail.
And also just showing his, like, really big ass at the same
because
time.
He's lifting
Granted, I was not feeling the horny in that whole season.
No, because you're so...
horny at all.
That's how I feel about all the horny moments in this episode. I guess if I had to pick one, it'd be Goliath's. The Goliath one.
I think you see more of his ass in that part. Yeah, I guess I'd go with that one. Broadway is a close, very close.
Well, I mean, what do you think, Hiron?
I mean, I'm more for the Broadway one, but I've also been outvoted here, so.
Okay, well, I mean, I think they're all valid options,
They are,
to be honest.
valid. Yeah, there's no wrong answer here.
Yeah. And, okay, but gayest character, though, I don't know.
I have an answer for this one. I think that Dracon.
I knew you were going to fucking say that.
His 4 boyfriends.
I knew you were going to say that.
His 4 pieces of man candy, who he has follow him around, and who he does everything with. Mm-hmm. They're all out. They're doing the town. Glass. You never see him without them.
Glasses is servicing that unibrow. He's like, oh, Dracon, we did a good job with those guns. May I kiss you on the forehead? And then he just like licks his unibrow.
Oh my god.
What the fuck?
I'm writing this fan fiction writes itself. I don't know what you guys are talking about. No, I guess I'd have to agree. If there were any gay characters in this episode, it'd probably be Dragon and the four guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's 5 guys altogether. Is all you need for an orgy. They're a walking orgy. I think that's admirable in a way.
They're outdoing the town.
It's something to aspire to for all of us.
Yes.
One of the interesting things about this episode is that every scene in it is utterly critical.
Yeah.
With one exception.
There's no what exception.
That one where we cut away to Lisa in the hospital, and like her heart stops, and they have to.
I think that I don't know why that scene was there, other than to freak kids out.
That
They
was
might
the point of
actually
it.
be dying.
No, the thing is, because there was a fade out right after the flatline happened.
Yeah, so
it was like a
the
commercial
break.
break.
Oh, okay, I missed that.
Yeah, they wanted to keep the kids on a cliffhanger during the commercials,
So
which
that
is
was
fucked up.
Yeah. That actually explains a lot, because there really wasn't much else to cliffhanger on around that point.
Yeah, and it went really fast. Like both sides of the commercial is like it goes very quickly.
Yeah.
But in general, like the one thing I did want to talk about in this episode is how well done it is compared to most children's shows that went to do any sort of political commentary. And my number one go-to on this would be the gun violence episode in Static Shock.
Okay, so I haven't seen this.
Which I know neither of you have seen.
I have vague memories.
But in that episode, they introduce 2 new characters, the shooter and the bully of him. And it's a school shooting episode. And suddenly Richie and Virgil make friends with the kid. And
so that was like in the week of Columbine, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So like it's a very serious episode, but the whole thing is told as a flashback from Virgil to his therapist. But he's having to leave out like any mention of the fact that he's Static. So Static barely even shows up in the episode. The episode like does get its point across, but it has some serious issues with it has no reference in any later episode. Like the entire show feels completely off from what it's supposed to be about.
Whereas in this episode, this does have lasting consequences because Lisa is in like crutches, I think, next episode, and like we see her like secure her weapon like every time she puts it down in the future from now on.
Yes. I think it's good that they did this very early in, especially during the period of time where they're trying to build, like I said, bottle episodes, they're trying to build more character depth with, the trio and the rest of the pack of the Gargoyles. I'm just glad they did it early in when they were still creating their foundation. I think that leaves a stronger impact. Like, you don't just, like... It's like, what, fucking season 5 or 6 of, like, what, like a sitcom like Full House or something like that, and they decide to do, like,
they'll do a very special episode.
Yeah.
That's the term I was trying to think of.
But,
like, that's the thing. Like, most of the time you groan when you see a very special episode because they're not well done.
No.
Yeah, and it feels like, like, I guess they're moralizing.
Yeah.
Which I guess no one really enjoys that, although I can see its necessity. But yeah, like this episode didn't really feel like moralizing. It just felt like a horrible thing happened, and then the characters had to like process and deal with it.
Yes, I thought that just makes this episode all the more brilliant.
While he's doing that, I will say we did get one email, which I don't think we will be reading today. But I want to reiterate for anyone who wishes to send us something. I think we have said this before, but please don't send us anything like weird or like that you might see us as like being uncomfortable reading to the public, basically.
I mean, we are very openly kinky people, and we've established that. We're all for just wanting to talk about it, but we're not trying to create porn through this podcast.
Yeah, also, like, if you just have, like, a straight-up fan fiction, like, I appreciate that you want to get it out there, but, like, you can just publish the fan fiction yourself, and, like, you can link it to us, maybe. Like, you don't have to send us to it in an email and then have us read it all out. Like, I do appreciate that enthusiasm behind doing that. like just one of her emails was particularly long, and then dealt with like some pretty dark subject matter. But yeah, so that's all I'll say on that topic.
When did we post our last Loincloth Hour? Oh, this is a spam email. Never mind. Fuck you, Lizzie.
You can
Thompson.
read the spam email.
Okay,
I bet they want to know.
Lizzie Thompson says,
Don't actually read it.
Oh, that's a security alert.
I thought we just got a new one.
So my friend Perplexing. Okay, so a lot of these emails are going to tie into a prompt we left for our last episode. Which, in case you didn't listen, I believe Croup tweeted out on the Loincloth Hour Twitter that if you had a docile, submissive, hypnotized Goliath at your command, what would you have him do?
Like, what would your first command be?
Yes, exactly. Considering last episode we did briefly see that. My friend, Perplexingly 10...
he's an artist, isn't he?
He is. He's a very good artist. He's an X-Men fanatic, particularly.
Yeah, he does all those Sabretooth comics.
Yes, them and I are very good friends.
I really like his art too.
Oh god, yeah,
it's
amazing. I love talking to him because I think I've also got him very fixative on Wolf, such as myself. So it's like we both get to talk about Sabretooth and Wolf.
Because they basically have the same personality and like
have the same
body type.
So
like are similar. They're they're big, angry men.
But yeah, no, check out
humiliated.
Perplexingly 10 on Twitter. I believe that's their name as well. And what they say they would do with the mind-enslaved Goliath at their command is he says he'd ride him like Falcor, and then he posts a picture of the never-ending story where he's riding Falcor.
With his, like, fist pumping.
Yes.
Can you imagine actually getting to, like, ride on Goliath as he's gliding?
I've talked about this many times.
I bet Lexington has ridden
I think that's the general consensus for everybody who likes Goliath is they want him to, like, carry them through the night or something.
My God.
Which I would love. The next email we got...
Thank you, Perplexingly.
It seems to be from someone named Nicholas. And they say 3 things. Hypno Goliath, 1, I command him to strip his belt and work out while hard as a rock. That big sized hard-on bouncing and swaying with every step to the gym. His hefty meat slapping the ground with every push-up. Dropping those glutes as he dips his weighted squats, making him into a sweaty, pumped, musky, hard goyle. Oh, I like that. I've never heard that before.
Goyle?
I've never heard that before. A hard goyle.
It sounds like old school mobsters. The Boyd, this Goyle over here.
Oh yeah, that's true. Like she's a very hard goyle. You see, you capiche, bada bing.
So basically they'd make him work out with a boner.
That's only there's 3.
Oh, there's more. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 2, put his dick in a milker and instruct him to pose and flex until he orgasms.
A milker.
See, like when I first read that, I was horrified because
like his udders.
I was like, no!
Well, how is it gonna milk?
Gargoyles don't have udders.
Maybe you don't know that. No,
Shush.
yeah, we do know that actually. We know everything about their physiology. Thanks to Greg Weissman.
Yes.
I originally read. So put his dick in a milker. I guess it's like a penis pump.
Oh, right.
Seeing that hulking body shudder and lock up with pleasure, and only being able to flex it out. And 3, last of all, get Hudson and Broadway, them out too.
What?
Put all 3 of them in spandex singlets and order them to wrestle for sexual domination.
Oh my God.
That's probably my favorite one.
That's very ambitious.
The first 2, I'm a bit
I'm gonna on the first 2 too, but the last one though.
Yeah, you and I are on the same page here.
Just make like the horny gargoyle wrestling ring.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Wow.
I like that. But yeah, thank you for that, Nicolas.
Thank you.
That was interesting, very eye-opening.
I like that all these emails are from new people too. I love it.
And our friend Zero sent us an email a couple hours ago as well, around the same time. He says, "Hey guys, it's Zero. Finally managed to email without a thousand things getting in the way because he'd been meaning to for a while. On Hypnode Goliath, Sid and I have talked about it before. We have. Him calling me since I pretty much wanted to wrap a used jock around his face and leave him like that.
Just leave him like that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Leave him where?
There's
Like, on
more.
the sidewalk?
I'm not even like. But besides that, is have him message. I'm sure he means massage and hold me. Would just be nice having a large muscular man enveloping me in arms and wings. That's cute.
I feel like he might not
That's really
need to
sweet.
like mind control Goliath to get
probably
hugs from him.
don't.
I feel like if
No,
he just asked,
he's a
maybe he
hugger.
would do that.
Did Lucian write this? Did
But
he?
maybe he wants like a sensual massage. That you might have to mind control him for.
Okay.
That's
fair
fair.
Um, and the current episode. Okay, he goes into the current episode.
Deadly Force.
Yes.
Let's see what he has to say.
It has to be one of my favorites. It's a bit more of a somber tone. I wouldn't say that. Somber is like, I would say it's like low key. I don't know. Am I reading that right? Somber?
Well, I can see how somber
There
could
are
apply.
points in the episode that are somber. Like,
The
pretty much-
beginning.
Broadway just crying on the building.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. It has a bit more of a somber tone due to Broadway's naivete. Naivete.
Oh, Goliath.
From
Or
playing with
naivete is
Elise's
refreshing.
gun like a toy, resulting in it going off. You see how it affects him through his anger towards guns and those with them, venting his fury at the weapon and his own stupidity for messing with one. And Goliath is similarly effective, but we see a collection of moments where the leader is ready to end someone's life because Elisa is being harmed, only stopping when Broadway confesses.
That did all happen.
Yes, yes.
Yep,
The
all
entire
major points
episode
there.
sends a chill down my spine, and I really love it because of that. Don't have any questions for you guys yet. Just keep up the amazing work on the podcast. Appreciate you guys.
Aw.
Thank you, Zero.
Hi, Zero. I don't actually work on the podcast.
Think of some questions next time, though. We need to answer them.
He's got this. I believe in him. I have
I-
faith.
I know he will.
Yeah. All right. So I'd say that
Cool.
about does it for emails.
What's the next episode we're gonna do? Oh my god! I just remembered. It's the Macbeth one.
Yes, it's Enter Macbeth.
Good
luck with that,
So
Zero.
we're going from like
We
the
get-
best episode of season 1 to what, in my opinion, is the worst.
Yeah, it's not.
Awesome.
It's not a good episode. Not saying Macbeth is a bad character, but it's such a weird fucking way to introduce
This is
him.
the worst Macbeth episode, without
Yeah.
question.
Like, and he's one of my all-time favorite characters.
Oh,
on the show.
a lot of people like
But
Macbeth.
yeah, I'll get to talk shit about this episode next time.
Oh Jesus.
Woohoo!
I remember when I watched it with you and the rest of the group, like back in 2019 for the first time in a while, and I just seeing how bad the animation was, I was just like, this is different.
Like, we've had gorgeous animation for 8 episodes in a row. So like, it's time for a poorly animated episode to finally
Like
hit.
they at least even the ones we didn't like that much have been relatively solid so far.
Yeah, they've all looked good.
Like, what's the worst episode we've reviewed so far?
Is it the Demona and Brooklyn one?
I'm leaning towards that.
Probably, and even that one was like a really good episode
Yeah.
still.
Like, I don't think we've rated a single episode below a 4 yet. I almost did
Yeah.
like Awakening Part
Oh my
3
gosh.
or 4.
Enter Macbeth is finally going to be our 3 or below episode.
Oh boy.
Wow.
Oh
Great.
boy. I hope our listeners are excited for that.
I know I am.
Anyways, I think that about wraps it up. We can sign off here at the hour and 30-minute mark, roughly.
Woohoo! Thank you everyone for listening.
No problem.
We have to say who we are and
Yes,
where to find
we
us,
did forget
though.
to do that a couple episodes ago.
We forget that a lot.
It's fine. We're not important.
I mean, you didn't introduce yourselves at the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, just...
So I'm Manitorn. You can find me as Croup as Croup in Fur Affinity, as the Manly Unicorn on Twitter, and Manicorn on Patreon.com, which you should subscribe to, and you will get horny spanking stories delivered straight to your inbox every month.
I have said it before, Croup is like the Stephen King of spanking stories. He puts out a lot. There's a lot of variety of spank-related stuff.
Yeah.
I think he's a bit flustered right now that I'm saying this.
Daddy spankings, wrestling spankings, magic spankings, all kinds of spankings.
Also, if you're a fan of the Marvel Universe, he does a lot of content with that, and he collaborates with Haran quite often.
Hulk spankings. Yeah, the last several months of my Patreon have just been basically a long role play that Hiran and I did on the of various Marvel heroes all getting spanked by a villain that we created.
What is
It started as a role play,
Yeah,
but I'd like to point
we've-
out it was fully edited into a novel.
It's been substantially
I think
edited.
you should put it out.
So
there.
now it's straight up prose.
What's the name of it again?
Avengers Assemble.
I love it.
I
love it.
I've never liked that name.
I
should
love
change
it.
but it's too late now.
It's too late to apologize.
You just like posted it with that name one day, and I'm like,
I
guess this is
like
your name
that.
now.
That's the name.
I like
don't-
it. It's it's cheesy, but it's the right amount of cheesy. You know exactly what to expect going into it.
Mm-hmm.
This is true.
I remember Hiran, before we started dating, you actually
Uh-oh.
commissioned me for a Gargoyles spanking
Yes, I
story.
did.
That
Did
was
you
like the
now?
first time we really started talking to each other,
Ooh.
actually.
Maybe you should post. Have you posted that one publicly yet?
It's on for Affinity.
Well, you should probably link it.
And it's on
After this
Archive
episode.
of Our Own as well.
I've read it, right?
It's the one with Fang and
Oh yes,
Yama.
yes, and
yes.
Yama, the Japanese gargoyle.
God, when you first told me you were writing that story, I didn't recognize the name Yama at all,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, what kind of story
Well,
is
he's
this
only
going to
in
be?"
one episode
You're
of
like,
the
"It's
show.
gargoyles." I'm just like, "Oh wait, what? Oh yeah, Yama, the one shot villain."
Yeah, that guy
The one
from
shot.
that time.
I do remember Fang quite well though, but that's because
Well, Fang's at least in more than one episode.
Well, when I commissioned that, I would like to point out I had just read Gargoyles Bad Guys, where Yama is
yeah,
a
and
main
they have
character.
that great that.
So that's where that came
adversarial
from.
relationship.
Okay.
I didn't just pick a random one shot
No,
out of
no.
nowhere.
Yeah, like
Hey,
it makes sense
well,
because
I'm
they're
not
main
knocking
characters.
you.
I'm just saying there
I
was
pick
this-
random one shots all the time.
Yeah.
I'm so
But
obsessive.
Yama's far less interesting in his
I
episode in the
mean,
series.
okay,
Yeah,
fair
in the
enough.
comic he's really
Yeah,
really
but like
good.
one shot villains like Hunter from Dial
that's
M.
fair.
He's
Oh my
fucking.
God.
I love him a lot. There's just a variety of one shot villains that I know of, but I'm not remembering off the top of my head.
So if someone wanted to commission you to write Hunter fanfiction, where would they contact you, and where are you on the internet?
Oh
for that?
yes, let me reintroduce myself. I am Sydney, aka Sid. You can contact me on Twitter at SidScripts or on For Affinity as Alistair Alderman. You can send me a note with some story ideas, and I'm going to, depending on what they are, I might be able to do them. I think my only limitations, they're obvious. It's like obviously no like underage characters, no zoophilia, no like hard gore, but that's about the extent of it. And
now.
You want to come to me with an interesting idea about maybe Hunter getting like tied up in a chair and his pecs are out, and maybe he's got like maybe he's got little suction milkers on his chest or
my
something
God.
like that. I'm not even
Just spitballing ideas.
I'm not
here.
even into like the whole milking concept, but I'll write it. I don't give a shit. That's my business motto. I don't give a fuck. And yeah, I say that's about it for me.
So I'm Haran. You can find me on Twitter at Pangolin, PANGOLIN _Hiran, HIRAN. Yes, I can spell my own name. Or on For Affinity at 13333. That's 4 3s. Or on AO3 at, I believe, also 13333.
You also write
yes.
much spanking fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I write a
And
lot.
you have your own wonderful cast of characters
Yes.
Yeah.
who all get into hijinks
Uh-huh.
with each other.
Yeah, I'm about 10 chapters in on that story, plus a crossover fic with Croup
Oh my
that's
God,
going
There's so
on.
many characters.
That we still have to catch up on actually posting because we have so many unposted chapters.
Yeah,
You
you
guys
have-
are
you
so
have
creative.
Pirates, you have adventuring parties,
I'm
you
just
have
like-
fantasy, you
I'm
have
off to the
dragons.
side.
I also have like some Husamo, Tekken. I do
Oh
do
yeah, you do fan fiction.
fan
too.
fiction too. Although most of my stuff's original.
I like how you guys are just so creative, and I'm just kind of like off to the side making like memes about like butts and sex.
Yeah, I never make memes about butts.
No, you do.
Ever.
I mean, I think you do. I think I'm a bad influence on you partly. I'm a bad influence on most.
I mean, I don't make memes, but I do make random edits of butts. So you know,
they're good edits. They're good edits. All right, so I think we can close it off on that note. Thank you for listening, listeners. I hope you have a beautiful day in Paris, France someday.
Oh,
Yay!
That would be nice.
Yeah, I don't know. They eat snails there.